Hello and welcome to Forgotten Frights. I'm Josh and I'm sitting here with Adam.
Hey, what's up?
And today on the podcast, we are watching the 1957 horror film The Curse of Frankenstein, directed by Terence Fisher and starring Peter Cushing, Hazel Court, Robert Urquhart. Oh, I love this part of the pod where I can't pronounce last names. Robert Urquhart. Wow. And Christopher Lee. Here's the trailer.
More than 100 years ago, in a mountain village in Switzerland, lived a man whose strange experiments with the dead have since become a legend. A legend that is still told with horror the world over.
We've only just started, just opened the door. But now's the time to go through that door and find what lies beyond it. But don't you see, Paul? We've discovered the source of life itself, and we've used it to restore a creature that was dead.
This is Frankenstein, who revolted against nature, who experimented with the devil and was forever cursed. His unwilling collaborator was Paul Kremp.
I can't prove you murder, but I can stop you using his brain.
Why, he has no further use for it?
Don't be a fool! Be careful! You damage it!
Only two women ever entered this house of evil.
Elizabeth, come back!
Elizabeth, the lovely cousin who had promised to marry him, and Justine the maid, who kept passionate and secret rendezvous with her master.
Won't you understand you're in real danger? What Victor is doing is dangerous to everyone in the house. Now, you cannot possibly conceive what dreadful thing he's planning to do.
What are you trying to tell me, Paul? That Victor's wicked? Insane?
Wicked, insane, evil. Call Frankenstein what you will. A demon had made a man-made monster, and now the monster was the master.
Paul, what are you going to do? For your sake and to protect Elizabeth, I've so far kept silent. But now I shall go to the authorities and have them destroy that creature. And see that you pay for these atrocities.
All right, there was the trailer to the 1957 horror film, The Curse of Frankenstein. Adam, was that scary for you?
It was, for 1957, I'm sure it was pretty scary. It was 1957, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
There was Christopher Lee's face and then Peter Cushing's face.
Yeah.
Back to back.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of spooky.
Yeah.
And knowing what we know, Peter Cushing in this film, very scary.
Yeah. There's several
Right?
reasons why he's scary, yes, for sure. Yep.
We are back at it. I think just before this, I've gone and re-released a lot of previous discussions. So this should be, I think this is a release maybe the first week or second week of July. So it'll be one of the newer episodes that I've released. Anything happen over the course of June?
Man, June was crazy. It was a magical month.
Yeah, I had the same experience.
Yeah.
I've never experienced the things I did.
Right. I've never seen so much fire.
That almost sounds lurid the way I say it. I've experienced so much. I've changed as a person. So anyway, we're reviewing The Curse of Frankenstein today, one of Hammer Horror's first films to kind of reboot the Frankenstein mythos. Are you familiar with Hammer films?
Hammer films, not the history necessarily, but, there's a lot of Hammer films that I dig. When I was younger, I think I liked the Universal storytelling more, and then as I got older, I feel like it felt grittier and gorier in a red tempera paint sort of way, but it was kind of a gorier take with Hammer films, so it kind of drew me when I was in my late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, that and just talking about the blood, I almost wonder if a lot of the blood, I feel like maybe I heard this somewhere, could be wrong, is that the blood looked so strange. I think maybe to get through some ratings issues because it's so vibrant and it's so like cartoony. But there's a lot of just like red blood, and I think rating issues probably weren't as big of a deal before the MPAA back in the day. So they were like, the blood's fine, or the blood's not okay. The bare breasts, we need more of those.
Yeah.
Which this movie's very telling, very 57, because I know where Hammer horror films go in the decades to come, and it's very much like they get into the sexiness of the vampire, and there's, it is more it is more lurid and lascivious. It's sexualized.
I feel like, especially knowing where where the British go as far as censorship, with the video nasties later in the in the late 70s. Yeah, I think maybe they were just like maybe testing the waters at this point, seeing what they could get away with. And obviously you start with one sort of horror, you have some blood here, and then the next, decade you're going to have it ratcheted up, and they're going to ratchet it up from there. So, it'd be interesting to watch more of these in a chronological order just to see how they change too.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's that's what we should do is because I think the next one is it's definitely a Dracula inspired one.
The Curse of Dracula.
I was just.
It could be.
I think it. Maybe it's the curse, the Legend of Dracula. They're gonna put their own spin on it. And there is kind of like Hammer puts its own spin on the Curse of Frankenstein. And the focus is on something entirely different, which we can discuss. But the other thing I wanted to bring up was, are you familiar with Mary Shelley's Frankenstein?
I've never read the book, but I'm familiar with the story overall. Obviously the Universal monster was it's so iconic, but I know in the book, the creature was intelligent, and he he spoke, and so it was different. It's obviously not this or the Universal look at the monster for sure.
Yeah, I don't know why the focus always seemed to be make monster big, angry, dumb guy, and maybe that's just because monster, maybe because it needs to be.
Right.
Creatures aren't sophisticated and articulate. Creatures are dumb. Not in this movie. Curse of Frankenstein proves that wrong. But yeah, this I think is this film is touted kind of as being more faithful. At least from one source, that I read, more faithful to Mary Shelley's book. And I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think I think this movie does certainly do something on its own, and I think it certainly plays into Gothic themes and pacing, which is slow it down, bring it to like a boiling, temperature or whatever, and then it kind of explodes into the ending, that sort of thing. The ultimate horror prevails, or whatever. Mm-hmm. I did want to point out, though, a relationship from the book to the movie here is that Mary Shelley in the book, she was like obsessed with the word countenance. Like, she used it so much. I just remember because I read it in the first few chapters, and I'm like, what is countenance? And I looked it up in the dictionary, and then she said it like 500 more times. So I'm like, I definitely know what it is now. So she was just really obsessed with people's expressions. I have no idea why. She just said it all the time. But this movie for sure is obsessed with people's expressions as well, because there's a lot of, and maybe it's just the 50s, but they have a lot of close-up shots of people's faces.
Yeah.
And, maybe they read that in the book, and they were like, oh, we need more facial expressions.
So did Mary Shelley, did she write a lot? Was Frankenstein like it, or was there more?
No, I've got another, one of her books is, I think it's The Last Man on Earth. So she did a fair amount of writing. But I think, her most important work was just Frankenstein.
Do you know if she used the word countenance in that story?
I don't. I'm only familiar with that story. I have it. I've never read it.
Okay.
But I'm sure page 1, it's like, his countenance was grim, for he was the last man on earth. And that's also how chapter 2 starts. She's running out of ideas. Adam, the tagline for this film, do you know what it is? For 1957's The Curse of Frankenstein.
No, I do not.
No one who saw it lived to describe it. But I don't think that's true.
No.
I'm just going to continue grabbing taglines.
Sure.
Because there's so many of them that are just the people who've created them just never saw the film.
And I think that speaks to, the monster not being a big dumb monster.
Yeah.
It's like it's going to sell better to the public. Like that tagline.
Yeah.
It's like that's more gripping than one person who saw it will live to tell about it. But everybody else probably not.
Yeah, right.
Well, one other guy will live, but he will, it's complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 people saw it. 2 of them lived. 1 of them won't talk about it still.
Do the scary math if you dare.
Well, why don't we get into it? We can start breaking down this film. My hesitation is for this film is that it's very I don't know how we would describe this, but it's certainly very narrative in that, telling a story, but it's telling a very it's almost like it's kind of a dry story.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it's boring. I thought it was boring the first time I watched it, and then I watched it a second time just to grab some additional details. And I found it more engaging, but at that point I kind of understood what they were trying to do. But it is very dry, and it's very again, shares this with the book, which is that a lot of Mary Shelley's book is him talking about science, him talking about the people he studied under, him actually executing the plan and doing that sort of thing. And then you have moments where the monster comes back to them or him and regales him with where he's been, what he's learned, that sort of thing. So you do have the kind of what would you even call that? The back in time, the flashback.
Yeah.
So there are some of those elements, but it's kind of all over the place.
I feel like, without, obviously we'll talk about it more in depth, but I feel like this movie was very much, it felt like I knew where it was going to go, and it went exactly where I thought it was going to go. Mm-hmm. And then there was a twist at the end where I'm like, I don't even know if that was necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, then again, no one lived to describe it. So,
No.
The film starts with Baron Victor Frankenstein, played by Peter Cushing, in prison, and he's awaiting execution. A priest, I believe, there's 2 people, one of which, like a priest comes in to hear his story, but I don't know is he just like the magistrate and he's hearing the story?
I believe so, yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
The person who's going to ultimately say, like, this guy's, Looney Tunes and needs to be executed. So he starts telling him the long story of Victor Frankenstein.
And the just to point out, too, because this is another, I feel like the more, we've been on a tear of movies that include a white zombie sample, but when the priest in the very beginning says, perhaps you had better start from the beginning, that's the beginning of a White Zombie song.
Wow.
Yeah.
And the other one was from Madhouse?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. And that was was that in like Super Beast or something?
I think so.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Rob Zombie loves his old his AIP.
He is a real creeper, that guy.
Have you heard that music? It's creepy, I tell you.
Yep.
So he's telling his story, and then we get the flashback. Victor Frankenstein discusses how he got a tutor or somebody to study under who shows up at his house, who ends up being his kind of long-term friend. And I know I've got his Paul Krempe or Paul Kremp.
Paul Kremp, yeah.
Is his tutor, and he, Frankenstein wants to learn. Should we say Victor? Maybe Frankenstein. I don't know, one or the
other. Let's say Victor.
Okay, so Victor, because the
you know what? Look, before we get into this,
the confusion.
Before we get into this, the monster we're going to call Frankenstein.
Okay,
I don't even care.
We're
going to do it.
Let's do it. We're rebels.
That's right.
We're rebels. So let's do it.
We know everybody. We know that the monster's not Frankenstein, but this time
he is. He is.
Yep.
I believe his name in the book was Adam.
What?
His name in the book, the monster's name in the book was Adam.
Oh, for the
first man. But he's Frankenstein here.
That's right. Yeah.
So Victor gets a tutor. The tutor begins to teach him, and Victor's like, he's affluent. He just inherited a bunch of money. He hires the tutor to teach him about science, maths, all that stuff, and then eventually he says he's at the same level as his tutor, Paul Kremp, And so then they begin to work together on other experiments. One of which is that they drown a dog.
Yeah.
You know?
Before we get into that, I do.
Yeah.
So when Victor was a boy, his aunt and his cousin are there. It must have been right after his mom died.
Okay.
It was must have been during the funeral, but she, I forget what his aunt's name was, but Victor lets his aunt know, he'll continue to pay her the money, the allowance that she had, and the aunt's happy about that. And then the aunt is very much pushing this narrative of like, and she's kind of pointing at her daughter, which is Victor's cousin.
Okay.
And just talking about how, one day she's going to be a real honey to marry off.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to, there's very much this is your cousin and this is who you're going to be married to. And I'm sure it was just maybe a time period thing.
Yeah.
But it's very, it's right off the gate. It's like, well, your cousin will probably be back later to marry.
Yes.
You're going to marry your cousin. Thanks for the money. Bye.
Yeah, I don't think, and you also have the thing with like rich, affluent people and people in power and that whole like inbreeding thing.
Yeah.
So that was totally fine. I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't like the genealogy thing wasn't a big hit in those circles.
Yeah.
So they were like, who cares?
Right.
I know this person, but not well enough. Like, that's even scarier than the story in the movie.
Yeah.
So anyway, they drown a dog in a glass cube. So anywhoozers, they drown a dog, and then they bring the dog back to life because they've been experimenting with reanimation.
And I was uncomfortable during the scene because it's so long ago, and you just wonder how much PETA was involved.
What's
and the dog was kind of like convulsing a little bit.
Yeah.
Like it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I didn't like it.
My 7-year-old came in the room and was like, "Oh, what's going?"
Yeah.
And typically when I watch horror movies, I built her a tent. She's got like a tent setup thing that's got it's got all the green. What do you call those? Like the frame, and then you just put blankets over it.
That's a pretty rad for you.
Yeah, it's cool. And then so she can sit in there, mostly because I'm gonna watch like these movies that will traumatize you. So I need you to look away, or to not listen in as people are screaming and
earmuffs.
Yeah, which building on that was my the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When I watched that for the first time, I of course was like, okay, well I'm just gonna put the blanket over my head, and then of course all you hear is a revving chainsaw and people screaming. It's like, oh, this saved me from nothing. So maybe I'm not protecting her in any way, but I try. Regardless, she came in the room. Dead dog. She's like, what's wrong with the dog? I'm like, oh, they're bringing it back to life. And then she like went around the corner and she's like, I don't want to watch this. I don't blame you. And then the dog came back to life and I'm like, it's back to life. And she's like, let me see, show me. And I was like, okay. But anyway, they do that, and then you get a sense that Victor is now like obsessed with this idea because he wants to push reanimation further than it's ever been. And Paul is, as his tutor and as his friend, is like, I think this is, this is messed up, dude, but I'm willing to try it because this does intrigue me.
Right.
So I think they jump right from there, and if I'm not mistaken, they go right to trying to get a corpse.
I believe either right before or right after they get a corpse, because enough time has passed. So basically, the other funny part is, so the tutor, Paul, comes to, Victor, and time passes. And then Victor leaps in age over Paul.
Yes.
Like it's they give Paul some graying at the temples, but Peter Cushing is clearly older than Paul somehow. But so it's been years, and then right before or right after this, where they get the corpse, Elizabeth, who is the cousin, she's a grown lady now, Hazel Court. And she comes to stay at the castle as well.
Yes, and I think it's an English thing. Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, who was the one before Vincent? Not Vincent Price so much. Who was he acting opposite in?
Basil Rathbone,
for sure him. I'm trying to think I believe in Twice Told Tales, the heavier set gentleman in the first.
Peter Lorre?
Was that Peter Lorre?
Sebastian Cabot?
Sebastian Cabot, that's who it was. They have this, like, Christopher Lee's like, hello. You're like, oh, hey, it's Christopher Lee. He's like, I am 25 years old. And it's like, wow, you look rough. And so I wonder if it's just, they survived the war.
Yeah.
They just, everybody has permanent old age marks.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I bring it up because Peter Cushing, he advances. He looks older than Peter, but he's probably like 23 in this movie. I don't know.
I don't know.
Because he lives for another like 9 decades.
He's
so
right. Yeah.
It's because this is only 57, and then eventually he's in Star Wars. But I guess that's 20 years, 25 years,
30,
20.
20. Yeah,
Okay.
20, yeah.
So I guess he's kind of old there.
Yeah.
So maybe he is like 50 or 60? No, 50 here.
Yeah.
45.
Yeah. And in Star Wars, of course, he plays Admiral Akbar.
That's right. Says,
definitively.
This is a trap. This is a trap, my good lads, or whatever Peter Cushing sounds like or says. So they go and I think at first they're stealing body parts. The thing that alarms Peter is that it's not so much like the Universal Frankenstein, in which they just have the body. Peter Cushing he's harvesting body parts and organs, and he's trying to get fresher corpses so he can take, and that'll play into something he does later. But he's getting like body parts. Because I think they pull back. Peter comes in the room. There's a body under a sheet, and he draws it back to take a look. And he's like, "Well, like this one, what are you gonna do? This one doesn't even have a head." And he's like, "Well, I have to get a head." So there's that element which I liked. I thought that was more interesting, more macabre and violent.
For sure.
And then it also shows that because he's doing it, what this movie does well is he's doing it in a very measured, rational way. And there's not really any moment where you're like, this man is completely crazy. He's just being very much like, I would like to see if this is going to work.
It's clinical, but when you think about what it is, it's disgusting. Yes.
Yeah.
Like he's talking about like the hands that he got from the most famed sculptor.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's cool, but also they're his hands. And how did you get his hands? Like, that's probably the biggest question on my mind. And then, there's a scene that starts like close up on the eyeballs. Like, he's gathering body parts. It's not just like a dead body. It's like he's
And this movie proposes that the skill is actually in the body part.
Yes.
So a good painter doesn't need his head as long as he has his hands.
Just his hands. Yeah.
It's like, I know he's gonna paint some amazing things.
That would work as like a hand model.
There you go. That's what he should have focused on. Is just pure aesthetics, not the skill issue. He's like, look at these runner's legs I have, and they're just like big, like muscular legs.
But I don't like those calves. We're gonna take those calves out, and I'm gonna get better calves.
I'm gonna give him a painter's calves, so he can stand for hours on end and paint beautiful tapestries.
Look at his ergonomic legs.
Is that why you gave him hawk eyes? You bet. So
Hawkeye.
Hawkeye.
He was a baby.
I didn't even think about it. He's got one Hulk arm and Hawkeye's eyes and a Captain America toe. So they go and they catch wind. I think this is roughly around there, before or after. It doesn't really matter. But they catch wind. There's a fresh corpse to harvest that's dangling from the gallows.
The gallows, yeah.
And it's definitely like, I think it's supposed to be Christopher Lee's body. And actually, in a very cool scene, they like go up there and they cut it down. Peter Cushing does, and if he's 45 or whatever, he's like crawling along like the top of the gallows, and he's got a knife, and it's my favorite Peter Cushing now, ever since we watched Madhouse, which is disheveled, frantic Peter Cushing, because his hair is kind of in his face. It's always combed back. He's such like a debonair guy, but he's got like a tendril of hair in his face, and he just looks harried, and he's like cutting frantically at this rope, and then the body drops, and it had to be a stuntman, right? that falls into the back of the wagon.
Sure. Yeah.
And it looks like he racks his arm on the side of the wagon and falls in, which for 57, they were like, job well done.
Yeah.
And the guy's arm is broken in like 5 places. It's like, no problem.
I was thinking when they went to get the corpse and they're working. They're going out. They took this horse and carriage to get this body. I mean, I get it that like if the way to dress in this time was very dressed up, the dudes took their top hats off before they set to work. They got like 3 or 4 vests on, buttoned to the neck. It's like just get some clothes, like sweatpants. Come on, there's got to be something.
Yeah, Peter, get my vivisection vest. It goes over my regular one.
Right.
My dinner vest.
Yeah. Because I got to climb up the gallows, and it's going to be easiest to climb.
Do I look like I'm in my work vest?
Get my girdliest suit that I have, please.
Grab my gore gloves. I need them for the goriest of work. Not my riding gloves. So after that, we have the monster is brought back to life. So somewhere within getting the body parts, the monster is brought to life through their experimentation, done in
well, we got to talk about the brain.
Oh yes,
we got to talk about Dr. Bernstein.
Yes.
So he has...
Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking because I thought that actually came later, but that's right. So he actually does that right around the time, and that's when he gets... Because there's a whole, we have a whole...
Yeah, basically...
We have a whole thing with brain surgery later.
Yeah, so basically, from after they get the body cut down, I feel like there's just a lot of situations where Elizabeth is trying to talk to Victor, and Victor's like, I got work to do. Look, I'm always busy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
One of these days we're going to talk. But she just wants to talk to Victor. Paul starts to kind of talk to Elizabeth a little bit, and she's confiding in him a little bit, but he's kind of like, this Victor's kind of a weirdo. She's like, he's not a weirdo. He's my cousin, and I'm going to marry him.
Very true.
So there's some back and forth there, and then Professor Bernstein, I didn't really get the backstory on him, but I feel like he must have been big in Victor's life at one point.
Yeah.
But he's a very scholarly gentleman, and he's in the sitting room, and they're having brandies, and you can tell Victor the whole time he's just like they should have had some scenes where it was a close up of his eyes and then Professor Bernstein's pulsating head because he's just like delicious.
What a countenance!
Yeah,
and of course when they head out into the hall and up the stairs, Peter Cushing is wearing his murdering vest.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
With his pushing gloves.
Yeah,
he's ready to go.
+2 gloves of pushing.
Yeah, it's definitely a what do they call that? A plot contrivance, where you just have something comes in and it's just like, well, we need that, and it's got to be here now.
Yeah.
And so his juicy pulsating veins, his brains.
Yeah.
He walks through the door and he's just like, you can see definitely.
Yeah.
Cushing is like drooling,
Yeah.
salivating. He's like, oh,
Bernstein's just saying all these delicious words.
Tell me.
He's got all these brilliant, tantalizing ideas.
Tell me more facts.
Yeah.
Tell me all the facts.
Victor's just putting a bib on and he's like rubbing his hands together.
He's looking at as the professor is talking, he's behind him and he's like swinging a candlestick to just get the motion of it. He's pulling a knife out, checking to see how dull it is. So they get to the top of the stairs, and I think fantastic moment, plot contrivance or not. He's like, Professor, look at this beautiful painting right behind you. Put your back to the rail.
Yep.
And check this out. And the professor's just like, yes, 1642. And he's like, yes. And then just throws him over the balcony.
He pushes him through.
Through it, yeah.
Yeah.
Because then he falls in one full shot.
Yeah.
He falls straight down and lands directly on the top of his head.
Yeah, I wonder if that was the same guy who fell into the cart. I wonder if that...
His arm was in a sling, so I think that makes...
He was already injured.
So later when Peter Cushing does the brain surgery, that guy was right next to him. He also does brain surgery on that guy to help him out because, the dummy they use is very price of admission. price of admission for this film is the dummy they used for how hard he hits the floor.
Yeah.
How realistic it is, because it's like instant rigor mortis, even though because it's like a dummy, but it looks so convincing. And hits hard. It's violent, and then smash cut too. We got a brain for our monster.
Yeah, so then basically, it really is kind of a smash cut. I think they talk a little bit outside the tomb, but then
he goes into the tomb.
But then Victor basically he's down there and he's just like he's opening the casket like here we go,
Yep.
And he extracts the brain, and wouldn't you know it, you're down there, you're trying to do your work, and here comes Paul to ruin the party. He's like, "What are you doing?" Like he didn't know what he was doing.
Right.
And then they kind of like fight over the brain a little bit.
Yeah.
And they drop the brain, so he's picking glass out of the brain.
It's something that had me thinking like for Halloween or what a great prop, like brain in a bag, in like a velvety bag. You have like just a juicy brain in there, and he's like, well, this is the bag I use to transport brains.
Yeah.
This is what I do. And this gets like smashed against a stone wall.
Yeah.
And then he goes, he like looks in the bag, and I can only imagine the viscera and disgusting pulp that's in there.
Picking glass out of it. After this,
it's so grim.
After this, Paul he gets with Elizabeth and says the thing about, and this is where it's the suspension of disbelief. I mean the whole movie, I guess, but it's like in these moments, Paul's like, Elizabeth, you have to leave, and she's like, why? And he's like, well, I can't tell you. I can't tell you that I just tried to stop your cousin who you're going to marry because he was stealing the brain out of Dr. Bernstein that you also knew. But he can't tell her why, but you should leave. She refuses to leave.
And that works in service of the movie. I think they need him to be a friend, and Victor needs a friend because he is like maniacal.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good it's a good use of that kind of teacher pupil dynamic, that he like cares about Victor. I mean, it would have been nice if they played into that a little bit more instead of just like you have a time lapse and suddenly this young kid is Peter Cushing. But like I get it, it's
I get it too, but it feels like it was a lot of.
I don't know why he didn't just
Victor, you shouldn't
tell him.
Oh, Victor, you
her.
did. Well, you shouldn't do it again. Victor, you did it again. You shouldn't do it. Victor, you did it. It's a lot.
And that kind of keeps happening until
Victor's like, no, I'm a bad little boy. I'm gonna keep doing it.
I'm a widow stinko.
I'm just a little fella. You're an old man. I'm not.
He should have brought the bag upstairs with him. Look, this is what Victor's doing. Is that
Look at this.
Is that
is that Sloppy Joe's?
Yeah,
what
is that a bag of brains?
Bag of
That's right. So they
So then the monster.
Now we have the monster. The monster.
Lightning strikes, right?
Yeah. So they do in exactly the same manner that they bring the dog back to life. They have the body in a big boiling cube of water. That's like, or I should say, a bubbling cube of water that's like transparent on all sides, so you can see the body floating in there. They go through the rigmarole of lightning and all of that stuff for the reanimation. The old school, I guess, way that electricity is supposed to bring bodies back rather than just spasm out muscles and that sort of thing. And our monster is Christopher Lee in some pretty cool makeup. And I can tell why the movie was popular or did well, because it is like he is a horrifying monster, and I think the the attempt to make him look not like Boris Karloff from the Universal Frankenstein is what aids this film. Is that we just have this whole like different interpretation of it. Again, though, because he's big dumb monster, I think that's what ultimately for me seals its fate as being like, oh, okay, I think there's better interpretations of Frankenstein than
I feel like the makeup I liked. The problem is that there's so little that the monster there's I'll save it till the end, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. But so the monster comes out, and then to abbreviate this, the monster gets out and he escapes. Peter Cushing and Victor and Peter then go.
No, Victor and Paul.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was. Oh, it's Paul. That's right. So Victor and I was going to say Peter Cushing, but Victor and Paul then go try to find the monster.
The monster being Frankenstein.
The monster being Frankenstein.
Yeah, the monster is Frankenstein.
The monster Frankenstein. And the monster runs into like a blind man in the woods.
There's a boy and a blind
and he
man.
ends up, from what I can tell, it cuts away at the very last minute, but the blind man's like, who goes there? And that sort of thing. And then the monster's like, I don't know, I'm a big dumb monster. And then attacks him and kills him. And then we have...
It was not even close to, obviously, I don't know. I know why it made this near on fire in my brain, but when the blind man was there, I just thought of Gene Hackman and Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I was going to make cappuccino.
That's really, that's probably even... even that's like so close to the Boris Karloff. I mean, it's like parallel to the Boris Karloff interpretation, but still just a more interesting interpretation, Well, again, we'll get that at the end. But yeah, definitely, I was like thinking of Gene Hackman, as the hermit in the woods. But so that happens. They, Victor and Paul come upon the monster in the woods and they shoot it in the head.
Paul shoots the monster in the eye. Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And it does kills it.
Just falls down. Yep.
And then it's donezo there. We then, they argue a little bit, but then we get to the point where, so Victor is doing brain surgery on the monster without Paul knowing.
Well, no, they bury the monster in the woods before the villagers.
They do? I didn't see that.
So basically they bury the monster and it's like, all right, done is done. We're never going to talk about this again. All good. And then Paul leaves. Paul departs from Castle...
Victor's house,
whatever. So, and then it kind of goes into, Elizabeth and Victor getting married. So it's going to be their wedding day.
Yes. We also have, where Victor is cheating on his wife with the maid.
Oh, I forgot all about the maid. Yeah.
So because that just comes into later. And the only thing I wrote is that just like, this is the point where like his life is spiraling out of control, even though he's got the marriage coming. He's got like, this is very much like, oh, you got to redo the monster thing. You have to redo, you're having an affair. You're doing this. You're doing that. And so then we can see that it's like, oh, okay. So now his like all of his flaws are kind of like coming to a head.
Yeah,
we're building to the climax more or less.
There's a scene early on where, and I'll be quick about this, but there's a scene early on where Victor's talking to the maid. It kind of helps. It helped me in the movie because Victor, like he's got eyes for this lady that he's not related to, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is a redeeming quality of this individual.
And her name is Justine.
Okay, and so he's talking to Justine like, we're going to be married, and she's very much on board with that. Well, then later, as he gets more and more crazy, she says, when are we going to get married? And he's like, oh, you're just the help. I'm never going to marry you. And then she gets upset.
Laughs at her because he's an as I said in one previous podcast, he's an evil bad.
He's an evil bad.
He's an evil bad.
But yeah, so basically, though, after they bury the monster in the woods, it's going to be Paul and Victor and Elizabeth's wedding day. Elizabeth invited Paul to come over to visit because he had been away for a while. But when Justine goes to the lab, because Victor and Justine have the fight where I thought you were going to marry me. Victor says no. So she goes to his lab to confront him. And this is where we find out that Victor dug the body up.
Yes.
And basically he reanimated this corpse.
Yeah, and there was something about, I don't know, I wrote down that he did brain surgery, but I don't know if that's just something he said.
Maybe.
Which, I don't know. Justine runs into the monster. The monster...
Clearly he must have, because he brought the body back to life. Yeah.
I don't know if he just got a new brain.
Maybe.
Invited another professor friend over. To stand here. This time just dropped an anvil on his head.
It's like, oh, I got to buy more brandy.
Yeah. And who's the next smartest guy I know? And he's looking at his list. So Justine is killed by the monster, and Victor is outside. He's locked the door on her, so that as she is killed by the monster, she can't escape. The monster then escapes yet again, gets out, and then this time corners Elizabeth.
So
and if I'm moving too fast,
he escapes to the roof.
Yes. And Elizabeth is up there.
She gets in the mix, and then they're both on the roof, and I believe the monster is about to grab Elizabeth, or he has Elizabeth
cornered.
Yep. Victor has a gun. He shoots at the monster, hits Elizabeth in the shoulder.
Yes, he's terrible shot.
And then he somehow, I think...
Oh, he throws... So he gets cornered then. The monster's like just bumbling around.
Yeah.
And then he grabs a lantern and throws it on the monster.
That's right.
Christopher Lee bursts in the flames. And then he falls through an ill-placed window on the side of the house and into a tub of...
Into a Christopher Lee-sized vat of acid. I'm sorry, a Frankenstein-sized vat of acid.
All I could think of while I was watching this, too, is... that I mentioned previously, there's an interview with Christopher Lee where the lady keeps calling him a horror icon. He's like, stop calling me that. And it's just in these moments where he's on fire, dressed like Frankenstein, falling through a window, that I'm like, can you really take issue with that?
Don't call me that.
I'm not a horror icon.
I'm a man.
I haven't done a horror movie in 30 years. Yes, the one I did, I was Frankenstein. It was very popular.
Yes, I had 30 pounds of makeup on my face.
Yeah. That's all I could think of.
I did think earlier in the movie they did establish the fact that there was a giant vat of acid that was...
Did they?
That was uncovered. And it's like, so it's like 10 feet away from where he's working, and there's just this man-sized vat of caustic acid just emanating fumes into the room. Yeah.
He's like, those are my huffing fumes. They give me the energy to continue brain surgery on mutants and monsters.
No.
And that's pretty much it. Our story ends with Victor talking to the magistrate and trying to convince him that yes, it wasn't me who did all the murdering. It was this monster, which I want to get into. But excuse me. Then Paul comes in to talk to him, and both Paul and the magistrate are kind of like, oh, this guy's like cuckoo bananas. And in a very frantic moment, Peter Cushing Victor tries to convince Paul, tell them about the monster, do this sort of thing. And he's just like, oh, he's too far gone, even though he knows the truth.
Yeah. Paul's like, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can't help you. I'm dating your wife now.
Yeah.
And then he leaves, and then Victor is taken away, and the last shot is Victor being led through a door by two armed guards, and then they all stop and look out a window that's off screen, and they walk by, and the camera pans slowly to the window they were looking at, and there's like the not the gallows, but the old chopping block there, the guillotine.
Yeah.
It was a guillotine, right?
I think so.
Yeah. Was up there, and I think the blade drops or something like that. And then, cue credits, and that's the end of The Curse of Frankenstein. So,
yeah,
that's it.
That was the end.
That was the end. Anything you'd like to add, Adam?
We're going to do final thoughts later. Right?
Yes, we'll do final thoughts after the trivia.
I got nothing to say right now.
Okay. Then let's just take a brief break as we're hitting the 41-minute mark. And we'll come back with a trivia game and then just give our final thoughts and, call it good on The Curse of Frankenstein. All right, welcome back to Forgotten Frights. I am Josh. I'm sitting here with Adam.
Hi.
And we are getting ready for the trivia game. Adam, are you ready?
I am.
Well, this is weird. 2, 3. Oh, these are out of order. I didn't renumber them. That's fine. My first question is number 2, so I don't know. I messed something up there. It normally doesn't format that way, so I don't know why it did that. So, Adam, these are 5 true and false questions. So, number 1, Peter Cushing insisted on performing his own surgical scenes to make Victor seem more convincingly obsessive.
I'm going to say false.
It's actually true. So Cushing was incredibly detail-oriented, and he studied surgical techniques to make Victor's scenes look authentic and unsettling. And I think this goes back into that comment from Vincent Price that he was very he was like the strongest man he knew, and he insisted on doing his own fight scenes. So he was just I guess really dedicated actor.
I guess I just wonder what kind of actual surgeries he was doing.
I don't want to know.
Okay.
I don't. It's like
it was the stuntman. It truly was just the stuntman. Just lay there. It's
this stuntman with this huge scar on the top of his head,
arms just bent backwards.
I tried to help him with my medical knowledge. All right, Mr. Cushing. All right, number 2. The creature's face in The Curse of Frankenstein was designed to look grotesque, specifically to avoid infringing on Universal's iconic makeup.
I'm going to say true.
That is true. Hammer couldn't legally copy Jack Pierce's famous Universal Frankenstein makeup, so they created a much more disfigured patchwork look for Lee, which I think is cool. I guess I wouldn't put it past a production company to be like, let's just redo the makeup because that's what everybody knows. But I also find it odd that if you're going to do a different interpretation of Frankenstein, why would you just do the same makeup again? But I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
All right, number 3, or in this case on my sheet, number 6. Hammer films originally intended for The Curse of Frankenstein to be shot in black and white to save money.
False.
That is false. They made a bold choice to shoot in color on purpose, even though it was risky. They wanted the rich, vivid color to set their horror apart, especially to showcase blood and gothic visuals. And I guess it being 1957, that must be on kind of the cusp of color and I'm drawing a blank now, but what was always the Technicolor? That would be the thing that would pop up, right?
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
All right, last question. The story of The Curse of Frankenstein remains largely faithful to Mary Shelley's original novel.
I mean, I guess I'll say true.
It is false, according to this one. Now, yet, I'll give it to you as true, because some people that I've seen online have often pointed out, oh, yes, it's a faithful adaptation. And I think probably in like tone and pacing, I could see that. However, I think the ones listed here, the differences are that Victor is much older and crueler, and the plot is streamlined into a more straightforward mad scientist story, stripping away much of Shelley's philosophical depth.
Yeah. So I really did bad. I think I got 2 right.
I think you got 2 out of 5.
Man.
Yeah. Not our average of 3 out of 5.
3 out of 5. I
which
know.
I think we both
just
average all
missing
the
that
time.
one really makes a big difference.
I like that we both we do 3 really easy ones and 2 just like completely impossible ones.
Tell me the exact date and time.
Every single time. Okay, that's the trivia game. So you got 2 out of 5, Adam. I guess we'll just we'll keep working on this skill. I don't know. So let's get into let's go right into likes and dislikes. Did you want to start with? I don't. In the past we've done where we, we do likes first. We both talk about our likes, and then we do dislikes, or we could just one at a time do likes and dislikes. It's up to you.
Let's do likes.
Okay.
I'll start with likes. I like the atmosphere of the movie was good. I like I thought the makeup on Christopher Lee was really, really good. I actually prefer it to the Universal Frankenstein, even though the Universal Frankenstein, maybe it's the fact that Universal Frankenstein is so iconic that it's just it's nice to have that more thrown or slapped together Frankenstein look. I've always liked Hazel Court. I believe she was in The Mask of the Red Death. I'll stick to likes right now, but she's a good actress. I like her. And I don't really know much about the what was his name? Robert Urquhart?
Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, I liked him. Like, I don't think I've seen him in too many other movies. I thought he did a good job as Paul.
Oh, Urquhart. That makes more sense than
Urquhart?
Urquhart. As I was saying,
It could be
Urquhart would make more sense.
Overall, I think it was. I think I did like the makeup. I feel like it definitely had a good Hammer feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As for me with likes, Peter Cushing, as I said, he is an evil bad, and he does really well with the slime ball. I think with old school Peter Cushing, where he could just be a villain, he could be like a monster. I think it's more it's nuanced here. I think he is an evil. He's an evil bad with purpose, and he has reasons to be so. They don't make any sense, as far as like morally and ethically, but to him they do, and I think that comes off on the screen, and I like that, and I think he plays that very well. He's very convincing. I thought the Christopher Lee monster was really cool. I like the way it looks. I like that it's kind of this stitched together thing. That's pretty cool. The Karloff one is of course iconic. But I think because, whatever, they've had time to meditate on this and reflect on this, like what would like this horrible monster look like? And I think as you go on, you start to get this with Frankenstein movies, I should say, through the decades. It's more and more getting in line with this like grotesque, disfigured monster, as opposed to this like more of just like a big, menacing behemoth. By the time you hit Robert De Niro as Frankenstein. So I also appreciate the settings are all very stage-like. I always enjoy that when it feels like it's kind of a play and it's very like studio.
Yeah, me too.
I like that feeling to it. Even what was it? Twice Told Tales had a lot of that going on with like the Black Cat, where it's like, oh, they're just in a studio and they put together this room, and then you can look around at all the specifics in the room and stuff. And I think it's like some of them they get very intricate and they look very cool, and you really see like stagecraft on the screen, and I think that's really charming and really neat. And they do a great job with this, even with the giant vat of acid. Mm-hmm. Nice touch. And then and then I just said fun spin on how the creatures are brought back to life. I like this water cube. I want one just to put in the house somewhere.
Aquarium.
Yes, and just keep like a floating mannequin body in there. Just it looks neat. It's very gothic. It's very it's almost like, I don't even know, something you would see in like a steampunk.
I thought it
like
was more
Ravenlofty.
steampunk.
Like it's very cool. I liked all those aspects. What about dislikes, Adam?
Well, I didn't mention this in the likes just because I wanted to show the juxtaposition, but I think one of my favorite parts of the movie was when, I don't think we talked about it during the talk about session, but the second time that Victor reanimated the corpse, he tried to tame the monster.
Okay.
And he was making the monster sit and telling him to...
Sorry, this is cut out?
No.
Oh, is this actually in the film?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't remember. I don't recall this.
But he had the monster sit. He had the monster chained to a wall. This is before they went...
I recall that,
This is before they went to the roof. And I thought that part was really... you felt for the monster in that scene. Like, it really kind of showed you how crazed Victor had become and how the monster was being used in this way. Now, while I liked that, that's like the only part of the monster, aside from the makeup, that I even liked in the movie. Like, I feel like, Christopher Lee was severely underutilized. It's like, I almost feel like he would have been a better Victor Frankenstein or the Paul Kremp character.
Oh, yeah.
I just feel like, when you have an actor and maybe in 1957 he wasn't of that certain status, but I just feel like, he comes in halfway through the movie and he's just kind of like, just, I don't know. That was a big dislike for me. And then I did feel like it was just a very slow plotting plot. I mean, like I said earlier, I feel like it could have ended when they shot the monster in the woods, and then they just kind of had that twist part. It's like, all right, like I feel like there was a way that they could have done that where they could have just ended it in one shot without the twist ending.
Yeah, I think that's and just getting into my dislikes as well is this. Not utilizing the monster. He's like barely in the film, and because it's so like horrific and disfigured, and it's Christopher Lee. Even at the time, I guess he was. They cast him because of his height. He's like, I could act too. They're like, nah, you're really tall. Put on these shoes.
Yep.
So I think that's I would like to see more because it goes from like he's chained to a wall, they shoot him in the head, and then they catch him on fire and throw him in a vat of acid. It's like that's your monster, Yeah. He's not menacing, and I don't know if that's done on purpose.
They could have spent more time making him more sympathetic too.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it really would have brought out how much
horrible,
crazier Victor was,
And I think that's almost what I wonder is that they didn't spend time there because it almost seems like this is a film about Victor's descent into madness or what have you. But purely from a story level, I don't understand why Victor's crazy. I don't understand why he's a mad scientist. It seems like he had a wealthy, well-to-do upbringing.
Yeah,
he looked very nice there. Paul seems like the sweetest tutor and a kind, empathetic person. So not unless and they're not saying this, but are they saying that evil is just inside us, regardless of our environment and this sort of thing?
There was I did see that there was a cutout scene though where Victor as a boy fell into a well and a bunch of bats with Frankenstein heads flew at him.
That will change you.
Yep.
And and forever after he was Frankenstein man.
That's right. Yep.
The bats flew at him and he said, "You're not Frankenstein monster. You're just a monster. I'm Frankenstein."
Yeah.
So I just didn't, I
agree with that. Yeah, that totally like he went from being a boy who seemed like his upbringing was good to, and the other part too that's very interesting.
Let's murder this professor.
Well, for me, it's the interesting part was like, all right, we finally got this dog. We brought this dog back to life.
Yeah.
Eureka. And then it's just like, oh yeah, I'll just throw another one in the oven. Like it's just, it's like, okay, we got a human. Oh wait, you got shot in the eye. We'll do it
I'm
again.
Shocked too. They went from dog.
Do it again. Just
absolutely.
Yeah, it was like we're gonna do what no man has ever done. Now we're gonna just do it on a production line,
and just keep bringing back the same monster after we shot it in the head. Yeah.
Yep. 2 cups of baking soda. That's what we were missing.
Hey, you forgot the yeast.
Fries. Oh, that's a bad joke.
No, that's a bad joke. The other dislike I wrote down is that there's just long-winded plot threads, and it just seems like it's the exploration seems to be on Victor and his craziness and his narcissism. I think is one thing I saw pointed out, but I feel like it's very I don't know. It's slow. It needs more monster. It just needs more action. It's going to be a hard sell to get me to rewatch it a third time. So I think the first 2 was enough. I did want to point out a couple things here. Just some reviews and some statements made. And we have just one. The Tribune said the film was depressing and degrading for anybody who loves cinema. Which I felt was way over the top here. Apparently, this is a big inspiration for Martin Scorsese and Tim Burton for their work, which I think is kind of interesting. I mean, Tim Burton, I kind of understand. Scorsese, maybe the heart of a man is dark. Therefore, I don't know. Maybe. All of my characters, they're all a little like Victor Frankenstein from 1957's The Curse of Frankenstein. Okay, cool. I thought there was there's the monthly film bulletin, whatever that is, says it was sacrificed by an ill-made script, poor direction and performance, and above all, a preoccupation with disgusting, not horrific, carnalry.
Ooh,
carnalry.
Damn.
I don't know. The other thing I have is that it looks like some of the posters here are black and white, but I feel like the film came out in color, and I wonder if I'm wrong about that. But I guess I don't know, because it feels like 57 is early, but it's not too early.
I don't think it's too early for movies. I think television didn't go completely color until the 60s.
Yeah, and yet the movie poster is in color that I have here, so I don't know. Oh well. Any final thoughts on The Curse of Frankenstein?
I think it's one of those movies where it's hard to, how far away are we now? 70 years, almost 70 years from this movie being made.
Yeah.
At the time, I'll bet you it was about as horrific as you could find. It's pretty unflinching in some of the gory stuff,
For sure.
collecting body
Unsettling.
parts. But, I don't know if it's aged so well. I mean, as a early Hammer film, I'm sure it deserves the credit that it's due. But I will not go out of my way to watch this one again.
All right, reviews are in. Watch it once if you have to.
If you dare.
If you dare. No one who saw it lived to describe it, which is kind of my overall review.
Maybe they're talking about the audience.
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
At least talking about me. I don't want to describe it anymore, and I live to see it. All right. Well, thank you for listening to Forgotten Frights. We will be back. I don't know. I don't think we've decided on the next few movies we're going to watch. But we'll be back in should be later July with possibly another Hammer horror film. Maybe. But we'll see. So thank you, and good night and good fright.